Today, we're diving into a book with a title that's both a command and a promise. Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nguyen. It's a really simple idea, but one that could completely change how you experience your life.
So let me start by asking you a question. What if all that constant anxiety, stress, and frustration you feel isn't something you need to fight or fix with more effort? What if the real key is just to stop? And that's the radical idea at the heart of our explainer today.
To really get this, we first have to understand what the book calls the thinking trap. This is that subtle, powerful cycle that keeps so many of us stuck in a state of suffering, often without even realizing what's happening.
So, here's the big idea. The author, Joseph Nguyen, he makes this really bold claim. It's not the bad boss, the traffic, or the tough market that's the real source of your suffering. Nope, it's your thinking about those things. In our hyper-connected, always-on world, the skill of just disengaging from our own mental noise, well, that's not just a nice-to-have, it's absolutely essential.
Okay, to unlock this whole philosophy, we need to get one crucial distinction the book makes. Getting this one concept right is the key to breaking free from that thinking trap.
So here it is, the huge difference between thought and thinking. According to Nguyen, a thought is something that just appears, right? It's effortless, it's creative, it feels light. But thinking, that's different. That's the hard work our ego does when it grabs onto a thought, analyzes it, and wrestles with it. That's where our suffering begins. It's what feels heavy, restrictive, and just plain destructive.
And this quote from Lao Tzu just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the book's whole philosophy. The problem isn't the initial spark of thought, it's the wildfire of thinking that we let follow.
So how do we actually apply this? Well, the book breaks it down into 3 really practical insights. These are the core takeaways that make this idea so powerful in real life.
The first insight comes from this fantastic Zen story. It suggests that most of what we get angry or frustrated about is, when you really look at it, just an empty boat.
So, the story goes like this. A monk who's looking for some peace and quiet rows his boat out to the middle of a lake. All of a sudden, bam! Another boat bumps right into his. He gets furious, ready to shout at the person who is so careless, but then he looks and he sees the other boat is totally empty. It just drifted into him. And in that one moment, all his anger just vanishes. The key takeaway here is that the event, the bump, didn't change. What changed was his interpretation. There was no one to blame. The suffering came entirely from his own reaction.
Okay, the second insight uses another really powerful analogy. It asks us to see our minds not as something that's broken and needs to be fixed, but as something that is naturally clear and just needs to settle down.
Think about it like this. When you have a glass of muddy water, you don't get it clear by stirring it more, right? Or by trying to pick out every little speck of dirt. You just let it sit. You let it be. And the dirt, all that anxious, repetitive thinking, it just settles on its own. The book argues our mind works the exact same way. Our natural state is clarity and peace. We don't have to do anything to get there. We just have to stop doing all the stirring.
Now for the third insight, and this one is huge for any professionals or leaders out there. The book connects this whole idea of non-thinking directly to achieving that state of flow or peak performance we all want.
In Japanese martial arts, there's this awesome concept called mushin, which means no mind. It's that state that athletes call being in the zone. It's when you're not overanalyzing, you're not second-guessing yourself, you're just acting, reacting, and performing at your absolute best. This state of flow, Nguyen argues, isn't achieved through more thinking, but through a profound lack of it, which lets your intuition and training just take over.
So, in a world full of self-help books, what really makes this one stand out? Let's break down its biggest strengths.
First off, it's radical simplicity. There's no complicated 10-step plan here. It's all about one fundamental shift in your awareness. Second, those analogies, the empty boat, the murky water, they're incredibly sticky. They make a really deep concept feel grounded and easy to remember. And finally, it's not about fighting your thoughts. The goal is just to notice, oh, hey, I'm doing that thinking thing again. And just that awareness is often enough to break the spell.
All right, now, to give you a balanced view, let's talk about something that might be a hurdle for some readers. It's important to go into this with the right mindset.
It's kind of a paradox, but the very thing that makes this book so great, its simplicity, can also be what makes it so challenging. It can almost feel, well, too easy.
Look, if you're a highly analytical person, a leader, an engineer, an entrepreneur,
You are trained to think your way out of problems. So this idea that the solution is actually to stop thinking can feel completely counterintuitive. It really requires a leap of faith to let go of that intellectual wrestling match and just trust that clarity will show up on its own.
So with all that in mind, who is this book really for? Who's going to get the most out of this message? Well, this book is absolutely essential for any chronic overthinker who feels trapped by anxiety. But it's also a game changer for leaders and professionals who need to make clear-headed decisions under pressure and want to tap into that flow state more often. And hey, if you're just tired of complex 10-step plans and you want one profound idea to shift your perspective, this is definitely the book for you.
Ultimately, the book really leaves you with this one question. It challenges you to consider if real peace and clarity come not from adding more strategies or habits, but from simply letting go of the thinking that's clouding the peace that's already inside you. So, if this explainer has sparked your interest and you feel ready for that kind of shift, you can find the book using the links down in the description. It's a great way to support the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Thanks for joining us.